Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rotoworld Football Show. I am Patrick Daugherty, joined by Mr. Denny Carter. Again, is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? We are not allowed to say still. We're going to check in on the Bucs backfield, the Packers receiver core, the Colts' high school coach, and so much more. But for Denny and I just wanted to be serious for just 1 second. Or you've been on Twitter over the weekend. You've probably seen there was some layoffs going through NBC Sports. We lost some of our friends behind the scenes, some of our friends from the site that you may know. And just wanted to say that, yeah, unfortunate, but we're still here. We're chugging along. We're really going to miss everybody, and I have nothing eloquent to say.
For sure. It's a really difficult thing to go through, obviously much more for them than us, but I will truly, miss these people who I've grown to really enjoy, not just as a colleague, but as friends. And I know that the folks who consume our content, whether it's through article form or podcast form, you don't see the background guys who do a ton of work to make us look and sound smart. At least I hope that we do occasionally. And so, we appreciate them so much. And to see them have to go is a really tough thing.
Yeah, really, really tough week, but all extremely talented people. We all know they're going to land on their feet. Not that this sounds very empty, but yeah, just a tough week for everyone here. But we're soldiering on. We got to talk about. So we're replacing all of them with high school football coaches. Actually, Denny, too soon.
It could be too soon.
It actually is probably too soon.
I actually think it's just soon enough.
Just soon enough, and we'll get to the high school coach in a minute. He's 1-0. So who's the high school coach now?
I know. I'm the high school coach now.
And, Jeff Saturday, he kind of called his shot when he tweeted again. I'm sorry for everyone that I'm so fixated on this, but on October 30th, he tweeted, "Raiders look horrible,"
which is funny.
That's very, very, very funny.
That is funny.
2 weeks later, it's like, he's like, he's probably mic'd up. It's his first game. He kind of covers the mic up. He's like, man, these guys really were horrible. Like,
am I right, folks?
Yeah, I know. Am I right? That's why I took the job.
Look, I feel like this is not fair to those of us who were highly skeptical of the Jeff Saturday coach Colts, because nobody knew that they were going to go back to Matt Ryan until like 30 minutes before game time against the Raiders in week 10.
Come on, it was 6, but still.
Colts beat writers were like, Sam Ehlinger is practicing with warming up with the backups right now. So I don't think that he's starting. I think Matt Ryan. And so and if you're trying to win, if you were trying to win, you would have never put Sam Ehlinger in there in the first place. Let's be honest. That it took Jeff Saturday to come in and be like, no, we're not doing this. I don't really know. I don't really understand why Frank Reich wasn't allowed to say, nope, we're not doing that. We're sticking with Matt Ryan. They would have beat Washington 2 weeks ago easily with Matt Ryan under center. They won this game. They would have been in playoff contention if they just would have stuck with him.
Yeah, Denny, I wrote in my column today that Jeff Saturday moved on from Jim Irsay's, mistake of ordering the benching of Matt Ryan so quietly that he did not even tell anybody. Yeah, and he just kind of did it. And the smoke had been billowing during the week. Like he was already kind of constructing the dots for people to connect. But then he let us connect the final dot.
Yeah.
Where he just threw Matt Ryan out there with the first team offense and pregame warmups. And everyone's like, well, yeah, I guess their Colts are, despite being deeply unserious, are now being a serious football team again. And you go.
It changes everything. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll lay it out a little more then just because Jonathan Taylor is also back. He missed week 9. He'd been banged up since week 4. Hadn't had a 100-yard game since week 1. Jeff Saturday, he was like what I like to talk about and joke about, but the lead item was the return of Jonathan Taylor, Denny, leading the offense, having 40-something yards, 100 and some big day for Jonathan Taylor. Just everything has changed with the Colts. What does it mean going forward?
This is what I was preaching, I want to say, last week, is that you couldn't give up on your Colts, on your Jonathan Taylors, Paris Campbells, Michael Pittmans, because of the prospect of Matt Ryan. We talked about how prospects loom, okay? And Matt Ryan was looming over this offense, as a potential fantasy boon. And that's what he is. Like, it's not that the Colts offense is great for real football purposes, but for fantasy, it's pretty sweet when Matt Ryan's under center, because they're running a lot of plays from shotgun. They were not doing that with Ellinger. They have a pretty high pass rate. They play fast, lots of offensive play volume, right? Which increases routes, which increases targets. With Nyheim Hines out of the picture, that boosts Jonathan Taylor's pass catching potential in that offense. So I think I told you before the show when we had our call.
You're not supposed to tell people we have a call.
I'm sorry. We can edit that out.
Edit that out.
And by the way, the call might have been on Monday, might have been on Tuesday. We don't know.
Maybe it was Sunday.
I think that with Hines out of the picture and with Matt Ryan back in the picture, Jonathan Taylor,
oh boy,
for the rest of the season, the final 8 weeks of the season, definitely has overall RB1 in his range of outcomes. And Paris Campbell has wide receiver 2-ish, okay, like top 24, top 30 in his range of outcomes.
Seems a little steep, but
in PPR, he's a scam.
We love our scams, don't we?
I love a scam. And Alec
shout out to SBF.
and
Too soon.
Yeah. Well, let's wait a few years, see how it unfolds. Michael Pittman is back on the wide receiver 2 radar, so it's really great if you were able to just hold on for dear life to your Colts. I think it's going to pay off.
Yeah, with Jonathan Taylor, I mean, the big development, I think, as you may have alluded to, Nyheim Hines, where he played over 90% of the snaps. Jonathan Taylor, he was running all the routes, where Nyheim Hines is a really good pass catching running back, but for like an elite between the tackles runner, Jonathan Taylor is a very good pass catching running back. It really, I thought, never made any sense to be taking him off the field for Nyheim Hines. And like, he has the RB1 overall upside, even when he was splitting the backfield with a pass catching back. Without him in there, I mean, the sky is just the absolute limit. And we will say, though, so we got a look at like the possibilities with the Colts against the Raiders, which, is they're one of the teams you want to be playing. If you've got some struggles, you've got some stuff to work out. The Raiders are horrible. The defense is just horrible. Week 11 now, the Colts will be playing the Eagles. And, we all watched the Monday Night Football on Monday night, and that Eagles and Commanders game, wow.
It was something.
The Eagles have a record after that game, and so do the Commanders.
Washington also has a record. There were some touchdowns.
There were.
And some field goals. There
were.
It was a good game overall, I think.
So it's a really tough Week 11 test for the Colts feel really good right now. Their high school coach got the dub. Their varsity running back is back, and it's like flattening people. But now they're going to districts, and they're playing the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right.
And we're going to get Week 11 will be much more telling where this project is at than Week 10 was. But we can be encouraged. Totally agree. Paris Campbell had a touchdown in 3 straight games with Matt Ryan.
I want to say that as for Jonathan Taylor, now the Eagles secondary is really tough. The Eagles rush defense has been very burnable, especially over the past six to 8 weeks. Last I checked, they were giving up top 10 EPA per rush. And so I think Jonathan Taylor actually is in a sneaky good spot against Philadelphia, unless things go really sideways. But even in that scenario, he could be peppered with a bunch of check down targets. So I think that Jonathan Taylor now has a lot of outs, okay, so he can't get there with rushing if the Colts get blown out by the Eagles. Okay, he can still catch 5, 6, 7 passes.
That's a good point.
And get it done that way.
Because Deion Jackson's not even currently healthy, right? Is he on IR? He was out.
Yeah,
I don't think he's on IR, but he's not healthy.
On IR, no.
But yeah, so I guess the risk would be they just like torpedo Matt Ryan and make the offense non-functional. But you are right that on paper, it's not a bad run game matchup for Jonathan Taylor. So the Colts, they're at least keeping it interesting. I think they're 4-5, which doesn't seem possible. They have a tie.
It actually is unbelievable. Like they have the profile of a 1-win team.
They do. They do. But
somehow
it's 2022. It's the NFL. So there's a lot going on with the Colts, Denny. There's a lot going on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers backfield. Rachaad White has kind of been in like a slow motion takeover of this backfield. He got the start in Germany, but Leonard Fournette picked up the minor hip injury. Before that minor hip injury, despite Rachaad White starting, he was actually getting out-touched by Leonard Fournette. After the game, he was kind of deferential and said, the only reason I even started is the State Department couldn't get Lenny's passport straightened out, and we didn't even know if he's going to be able to make it to München, but he did. But there was more Rachaad White install in the game plan. So he was kind of trying to be modest about it. There are definite like red flags, so to speak, to Rachaad White's like latest move up the depth chart. But how real what are we feeling about this? Are we going to be ranking Rachaad White ahead of Leonard Fournette at some point in the next month? Or are we already at about like his ceiling and this is going to remain a committee?
Well, I mean, Fournette still gets most of the goal line work. So that is something that without that, I don't think White can achieve any sort of ceiling here. White started the game against Seattle. Him and Lombardi Lenny sort of rotated, they just did rotate drives until the third quarter when Fournette went down. Adam Schefter reported that it's not a major injury for Fournette, so he should be back after the Bucs Week 10 bye. I think White is still available in 55% of leagues. He should be picked up. I think that you'll be able to get him at a reduced cost. If you're in a league that has a free agent budget, say, because of the Bucs bye week, and Fournette is probably going to be okay when they come back. But I think that there's pretty clear writing on the wall right now that White has crept into the conversation of Bucs starting back. I do think that it would take a complete benching of Fournette or an injury for White to get that workload that we're looking for potential RB1 sort of scenario.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll probably keep Fournette ahead. So they're on bye this week. Is that really this week?
It is. Yeah. Well, yeah. Anytime these teams go
serious problem for me. That's right.
Then they come back to a bye.
That actually is not the case anymore. A lot of the London teams have come back without byes.
Oh yeah.
That's because they just like consider. I think they're trying to normalize London. See, you don't even need a bye after playing in London. You don't even need a bye. But yeah, after going into the heart of Germany, you still need a bye coming back. So the Bucs and the Seahawks are both on bye. I think I will still have Fournette ranked ahead, but it is, like during the Tom Brady era in Tampa, they want a committee, I think, has been what they've always wanted in the backfield. And like Fournette every down has just been like a necessary evil a lot of times. It doesn't seem like they've ever really wanted that, but they've just had to do it because the rookies weren't ready. Ronald Jones was Ronald Jones, Rachaad White. Rachaad White has done a much better job than Keyshawn Vaughn. We'll say that.
Yeah. No, he has. And also, I know we've talked about it before, but it's worth repeating. Fournette has been abysmal this season by every measure. His rush yards over expected per attempt is down in the Mark Ingram, Darrell Henderson range, also known as the CEH range, also known as the unbelievably terrible range. So, he's not been good.
Since I condemned Jeff Wilson, by the way, he's been amazing. So look for CEH to bounce back.
Wait, who you condemned?
Yeah, I said ever since I did. Then now he's like the best. He's like the best running back.
He's always been better than CEH.
Well, no, I know. I'm just saying once you condemn a player, you know that CEH is back in the top 24. Actually, folks.
I feel confident in condemning Lombardi Lenny. I'm sorry if you're listening, Lenny.
Yeah. So all I'll say, my final word is, when they come back, I will have Rachaad White ranked as a legit flex. There's already been a few weeks where I was kind of bordering on that. Mm-hmm. I will have him ranked as a legit flex. Mm-hmm. Denny, you watched Packers Cowboys, correct?
I did.
You witnessed 3 Christian Watson touchdowns, 3 where there used to be 0. The young man entered the game with only 10 catches. I read your blurb. I saw that he also had 2 drops and he badly misjudged another ball. So we kind of got like the full Christian Watson experience, but the point is we got the full Christian Watson experience, not just the mistakes. We got the big plays. So Christian Watson, I think, was under 10% roster on Yahoo. Safe to say he's probably a must-add, correct?
Yeah. So week 10 was the entire glorious mess that Christian Watson is, because there were times when Aaron Rodgers looked like he wanted to, body slam Christian Watson after the play. Like the disgust on Aaron Rodgers' face after Watson's first drop was actually, it was hard to look at on the TV screen. He also
He wanted to run over his left foot with a Buick LeSabre.
Right. Or, some sort of Buick. I don't know. Maybe not a LeSabre, but Rodgers threw a perfect ball right to the goal line, where Watson just stopped running. And I think that either he didn't see the ball or he didn't think that the play was coming to him, so he slowed up, which is just a brutal mistake for a rookie, especially a rookie working with a very, I'll say, moody guy in Aaron Rodgers.
A moody guy who depends on really good timing.
Yeah, that's right. And so please, someone's got to tell Christian Watson, you have to keep running. Like, I don't care where
cut
you
off
are.
that route.
Please keep running. Aaron will never throw to you again if you stop running again. So really, he could have had 4 touchdowns, is what I'm saying. He can do things that the rest of the receivers for Green Bay cannot do. And I know this sounds funny, and it is a little bit, but dropping long passes is a skill. And by that, I mean, not everybody can get wide open downfield like Christian Watson does on the regular, right? Like, we've seen this throughout his rookie season. As bad as it's been, that's the one thing that he's been able to do, is bust open down the field. Marquez Valdes-Scantling was able to do that in this offense. They don't have anybody else who can do that, who can even approach that. Sammy Watkins-Lazard, that's a joke to think that they could do something like that. So I do think Watson clearly has the most fantasy upside in this offense going forward. It was the first game, by the way, against Dallas. That was his first game with a full complement of routes. Like, he hadn't had that. He had a route rate of like 20% headed into that game. So he was barely being used. So we got to see it, and it was fantastic.
A few things we say around here. We say on the reg, not on the regular.
I'm sorry. I will note that.
Of course, you say on the reg. And you made a really good point about like the deep drops, or it's kind of like when a team gets clowned all the time for losing in the playoffs, say maybe the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
To lose in the playoffs, you have to make the playoffs. To drop the 75-yard touchdown, you have to be able to get over the 75-yard. We're not quite sure why Packers receivers are so insistent on dropping 75-yard touchdowns. It doesn't really make any sense.
Well, we've talked about it. I think the reason is because Aaron Rodgers is so good on those passes that most quarterbacks can't put their receivers in position to drop.
That probably is true.
And we saw Jordy Nelson drop brutal downfield passes. We saw Devontae Adams do it before he broke out. So I actually think that Rodgers' ability to put it in a basket from 40, 50, 60 yards is just unmatched.
It is. And so you made a point earlier in the show that has traditionally been true, where like if you do that to Aaron Rodgers, like he just disowns you. But Aaron Rodgers himself said after the game, they asked him, they said, what did you say to Christian Watson after the drops? He basically, in very uncharacteristic Aaron Rodgers fashion, said, like, keep running and getting open. I'm going to keep delivering you the ball. And I'm not kidding. This is probably just total like narrative fitting for me. But I really thought I noticed in the second half of that Bills game in week 8, like Aaron Rodgers just finally came to terms, like, this is who his supporting cast is. And he was just going to start cutting it loose again. And if they made mistakes, so be it. But I thought in the second half of that game, he was really going down the field more again. He did it in week 9 against the Lions and just couldn't quite hook up with Samori Toure. There was a few like fingertip type stops. But I could be totally projecting, but I feel like I've just noticed like a mentality shift from Aaron Rodgers, where it's like, whatever, like if these young punks are going to drop the ball, that's just what's going to happen. I got to keep doing it because I desperately want to win football games. And like he's finally come to terms, like these guys are going to make a ton of mistakes, but like a better option like this isn't coming, like is not walking through that door.
Right.
And this was after the trade deadline. Maybe it's a shift in mentality after the trade deadline. I don't know. Where I feel like Aaron Rodgers is just like, all right, whatever. I've accepted my fate. Now I've got to like actually try to do something with it.
And I think that he knows that, Watson, like I said, is his only hope to hit downfield shots in a very low volume Packers offense, which brings me to, a little bit of skepticism about Watson's weekly fantasy usefulness. He's going to have big games. Okay. Like his profile, the fact that he's getting a lot of downfield looks. 4 of his 8 targets against the Cowboys came over 20 yards downfield. Okay. So that's a very volatile profile. Okay. We know this from experience. If you play fantasy for any amount of time, that's the kind of profile where you could come away with 2 catches for 20 yards or 4 catches for 130 yards and things look great. So I don't think people should get too excited about Christian Watson being like this alpha dominant receiver, just because look, he had a 40% target share. It was 8 targets. Okay. Like that's the kind of offense we're talking about.
But we will say they play the Tennessee Titans on Thursday Night Football, who just bleed passing production.
Yeah, they do.
Totally bleed it. Then it's Darius Slay's Eagles in week 12. Then it's the Chicago Bears in week 13. Then the Packers finally have their bye in week 14. So we're going to find out a lot basically about Christian Watson over these next 3 games, where I think if he spikes one of those Titans or Bears games, I think we can officially consider Christian Watson a wide receiver 3. Again, like you said, a very volatile one where 0.0 is in the range of outcomes. Like if he just spikes one of those 3 games, I'll be feeling pretty good about Christian Watson for the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, just talking about his Thursday night prospects against the Titans. Titans are the 3rd most extreme pass funnel defense in the league. I mean, teams really go after them through the air. And Russell Wilson almost got there with a couple really poorly thrown passes that should have gone for a lot of yards.
Heavy emphasis on almost for Russell Wilson. Although even Russell Wilson threw for 286 yards, which were his most since week 1. But
did he end up with 286? Wow.
286, but he completed 21 of 42 passes.
Wow.
50% completion percentage, didn't he?
You get what you can get with
Russell Wilson is completing 57.4% of his passes. Yikes.
Yeah, it actually makes no sense because the one thing Russell Wilson always did well was have a really high completion rate over expected. Like every year he was off the charts with that, but this year is terrible.
And just with normal completion percentage, he flirted with 70 a few years in Seattle. Was never even come close to finishing under 60%, which is kind of the benchmark of if you're an accurate passer. These days it's higher, to be honest. It's more like 65% in the current NFL. But yeah, Russell, we digress. We could talk about Russell Wilson being bad all day. We already basically do talk about the Rams being bad all day, Denny. The Rams' only good player, Cooper Kupp, is set to miss time with an ankle injury. The fallout is going to be bleak and grim. Yeah. What is the fallout?
There's so much fallout here because you're talking about, one of maybe 2 or 3 of the most extreme target hogs in football, along with like DeAndre Hopkins. And that's about it. Honestly, Cooper Kupp and Hopkins are on a plane of their own. So without him, you're talking about 30% of the targets are now available. 23 to 25% of the air yards for the Rams are now available. And I take no pleasure in saying this, honestly, but if Kupp is out for a long time, first of all, Tyler Higbee has a chance to go nuclear.
He caught a family show, man.
Listen. Higbee caught 8 of 8 targets against the Cardinals from John Wolford. Okay, when Stafford comes back,
quarterback upgrade.
Oh, jeez. I mean, the Rams might want to just think about another backup quarterback, but they
so true.
Higbee has been the number 2 pass catcher in the Rams offense for a while now, and I know over the past month things have been bleak. I get that. He was dinged up, he wasn't running a lot of routes, but he's back to full health. It seems he should be out there running 100% of the routes. No Kupp. I mean, I think unless you have Kelsey, Andrews, or Goddard, you need and he's on your wire. He's on 22% of waiver wires, by the way. You need to really prioritize getting Higbee. Anyway, Allen Robinson. Can I share some shocking statistics with you about Allen Robinson?
Please.
Because I actually had to look like 2-3 times just to make sure. So Robinson it's been horrible. Okay, like you can't even rank him as a wide receiver 4 at this point. He has more inside the 10 and inside the 20 targets than Cooper Kupp this season. Only Justin Jefferson has more targets inside the 10-yard line than Allen Robinson in the year of our Lord 2022. He's not doing anything with them. Okay.
Nothing.
Like nothing.
Quite literally nothing.
But the fact that he's getting those, and now Cooper Kupp, who is nearly even with him in those inside the 10, inside the 20 targets, is out. Yes, Higbee will absorb some. Yes, Ben Skoranek will absorb some. But I think Robinson has a lot of touchdown based upside here, and we'll see a target bump. I don't want to say this. He's available in 40% of leagues. I think people need to get over what they've seen, what they've experienced with Allen Robinson this season, because I know it's been bleak, but that the game has completely changed. There's a gaping hole in the target share in the Rams offense. Robinson is going to see some of it.
Yeah, he has only 2 touchdowns all year, only 1 in the past month. He's scored in week 2 and like week 7. He basically seems to have like negative chemistry with Matthew Stafford, but
I know.
The target totals have finally kind of creeped up, like the overall target totals. The catch floor has crept up, and even though they just seem to not be able to connect whatsoever on a fade, I mean, you are right. That's the kind of usage that is going to regress to the mean, especially if Cooper Kupp's not there.
I mean, Justin Jefferson is the only guy in the league who's seen more inside the 10 targets than Allen Robinson. I can't wrap my head around it, but it's good. It's good. If you still have Allen Robinson, you can play him with at least some confidence going forward for a while.
What about Van Jefferson's season? He has 3 catches in 3 games since coming back, I think.
Jefferson barely played against Arizona this past week. Strictly a downfield guy. I would want Skoranek over Van Jefferson. I guess like 14-team leagues, you might want to roster Van Jefferson, but talk about a volatile profile. I mean, the guy, every target the guy sees is 35, 40 yards downfield.
And yeah, he has 8 targets in 3 games since returning. And just with the Rams pass protection, their downfield game just like essentially does not exist, is really what it boils down to. We'll be right back after this. Just a reminder, if you don't have the NBC Sports Predictor app, go download it now. The contests are free and easy to play, and you have a shot to win thousands this weekend by predicting what will happen in college football, on the PGA Tour, and in the Premier League. There's also $100,000 up for grabs by guessing the outcome between the Chiefs and Chargers and our Sunday Night 7 contest. And also download the Rotoworld app to receive breaking player news all season long. Stay ahead of the competition by favoriting players on your roster. Get the latest injury updates, player news, and much more delivered right to your phone. It's available in your app store today. Couldn't decide whether to do this shocking player before or after the ad break, Denny. He's going to be after because I want people to really focus in on who you wanted to talk about next, and apparently it's Foster Moreau.
It is, and I know you don't want to talk. No one really wants to talk about Foster Moreau.
Not even Josh McDaniels, who he just pulls up the depth chart. He just starts Ben Affleck crying, drinks an entire iced coffee.
I mean, the Raiders do love them some Foster Moreau though. They've talked about him like he's Tony Gonzalez for the past 3 years. Darren Waller is on IR. I'd be surprised if he plays again this season, but we'll see. I think Moreau is a tight end 1 candidate based on
oh my god
volume of routes.
I feel like this would have happened by now. Just be honest, not to you keep going, but I feel like he's already had this opportunity.
Well, I mean, but he's look since week 7, he leads all tight ends in pass routes and ranks 4th among tight ends in targets.
Fake news.
I know that the Raiders offense is not good, but it is fantasy friendly in this way. We know where the ball is going to go. It's going to go to Josh Jacobs. It's going to go to Devontae Adams, and it's going to go to Foster Moreau, folks. And those are the 3 places it's going to go. We know that he's 3rd in line for touches for and maybe the number 2 behind Adams as the number 2 pass catcher in that offense. So the route participation is off the charts. The process says Foster Moreau should be able to do something with this opportunity.
It sounded like the process in week 10 was Foster Moreau in cash, and it doesn't seem like it didn't really pay dividends, Denny.
Wait, this past week?
Yeah, I believe our old pal Adam Levitan was talking about using Foster Moreau in cash.
He scored 14 points.
Gosh, I forgot he had a touchdown. Oh my God.
I saw Adam and played him in cash.
I forgot that they can't keep getting away with it.
Nevertheless,
never owned. Yeah, Foster Moreau. At worst, he's the number 3 target in the passing game. So, and it is the time of year where you just got to be like, whatever. I mean, I guess I'm starting Foster Moreau, and these things happen in football with injuries. So, yep, it's Foster Moreau season. We take no pleasure in alerting you to this fact. Denny, we wanted it to be Jaylen Warren season. It kind of was. It was weird. Najee Harris had like his best game of the year. If I had told you before the game, Najee Harris would have 20 carries for 99 yards, you'd be like, wow, Steelers were really lying about Jaylen Warren. But he had a good game too. What's the update in the Steelers backfield where both backs now seem to have a role?
Yeah. Some are saying I watched this game too, this Steelers Saints game, which before the game on Twitter, I said could be a shootout, folks. And I could not wish that into existence hard enough, unfortunately. Jaylen Warren had a dozen touches here, 9 rushes for 37 yards, 3 catches for 40 yards. He looks like the best back that the Steelers have. Another thing with Najee Harris's production is that over 50 yards of his 99 yards came on a single rush. And I know I don't really like that thing where you say, look, if you take away the good plays, he doesn't have any good plays left. I don't like that. I will say, though, that Najee did very little outside of that explosive run. I think Warren's emergence, both taking snaps and taking pass routes and targets away from Najee Harris, makes Harris very dependent on touchdowns going forward, even if he sees the sort of 20 carry games. Now, will the Steelers be able to generate game script that produces a 20 carry game for Najee Harris very often? I'm going to say no. I mean, Kenny Pickett looked worse than Andy Dalton in this game, and Andy Dalton was pretty bad. So I don't think that we're often going to see that sort of friendly game script for Harris, and Warren needs to be picked up in more leagues this week.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers had almost 40 minutes of possession in this game against the Saints team whose run defense is basically totally collapsed. So they play the Bengals this week. Even if Jamar Chase is not back, the Steelers will not be dictating the pace of play against the Bengals. So what you're talking about is already immediately going to come to fruition this week. If you hold out, they have the Colts, the Falcons, it's not a good schedule, really.
Yeah.
It's probably better places to look for like a flex RB dart throw than keep Jaylen Warren around.
Yeah.
The upside, he has a little independent value, and the upside really is like RB1 maybe.
Yes, it is.
If Najee Harris were to get hurt.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm excited about having him on my bench because if Harris were to miss any time down the stretch, you are talking about Warren getting all the workload, like absorbing all the routes, all the pass catching, and of course the carries, even the goal line work with Harris out. So it's very appealing from a fantasy standpoint.
Danny, I had to try to talk you into talking about this one, but I think that this time it counts with Isaiah Pacheco. Do you agree? Do you agree?
Why does it count this time with Pacheco when he's at best the second best running back in his own backfield? I mean,
he's the second best, but he's the first best at getting cannon fodder carries, and that's all we want. That's all we want.
Yeah, I guess that does check out against the Jaguars this past week. Let's see. McKinnon ran way more routes than everybody else. 18, saw 8 targets, caught 6 of those. Only saw the 1 carry. I know Pacheco saw 16 carries, whilst Clyde Edwards-Helaire saw 0. So yes, I suppose that Pacheco would be the primary, early down banger for a team that never runs the ball. Until
they found Isaiah Pacheco.
That's the problem, though, is that they don't run it. Like they lead the league in pass rate over expected. Even when they're ahead, they keep passing. They're one of the 2 or 3 teams that do that. So I just think Pacheco's path to fantasy relevance is so narrow. In PPR, I certainly would prefer picking up McKinnon over Pacheco.
Well, Denny, might I interest you in a shocking fact?
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs play the Chargers this week. And I
Mm,
don't know if you know this about the Chargers. They are absolutely horrendous against the run.
they are.
And we're going to meet a perfect marriage of point chasing versus opponent. And it's going to be Isaiah Pacheco week. It really is.
Yeah,
Just get ready.
I have a hard time trying to fit the Chiefs offense into this idea that if they get out ahead, they're just going to milk the clock with the run. It's just not what they do.
And as producer Adam points out, this game can be caught on NBC. I don't know if you heard of it.
It's a little thing called Sunday Night Football, folks.
8:20 p.m. Eastern. And so the Chargers, their second straight Sunday Night Football game, and their run defense was actually holding up a little better than expected against the San Francisco 49ers, Denny, where for some unknown reason, Elijah Mitchell got 18 carries. Christian McCaffrey, who they traded 4 draft picks for, got 14. I mean, what the heck is going on? Like
Kyle Shanahan said after the game to trigger every CMC drafter in the world, he said, we want carries to be, quote, about even between Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey, which means that this was not a mistake. Like, this was not like, whoops, we let Mitchell get 18 carries to 14 for McCaffrey. That won't happen again. No, Shanahan came out of that and said, yep, that's what we're looking for, folks. So now McCaffrey did run the routes and saw the targets, not a lot.
He scored the tutter too.
He's right. He saw 5 of 7 goal line touches. I'm sorry, not touches. 5 of 7 goal line snaps for the Niners. So it's clear that his role is more valuable than Elijah Mitchell's. But wow, does Mitchell just lop off the top of McCaffrey's fantasy upside with that kind of involvement? I mean, even if this team remains super run heavy, which it will, the fact that if Mitchell's going to get 50% of the carries, that's tough. That's tough for McCaffrey drafters.
Say Tutter or Tutty, Denny. Come on.
I'll never say Tutter or Tutty.
It was most disturbing to me though, because the 49ers were like playing from behind most of the night. So it'd be one thing if they were like front running and like whatever, like let's get Elijah Mitchell in rhythm for the stretch run. Let's like get his legs going, like, take a load off CMC in this game. They were like trailing a lot of this game. And this was just their plan to run Elijah Mitchell. And Kyle Shanahan has a lot of plans and it'll be different most weeks. I think it only knocks like McCaffrey down a few spots in the RB1 ranks, to be honest, because I do think Kyle Shanahan is going to continue to give every high value touch to Christian McCaffrey.
Right. So definitely Mitchell is going to see a lot of his carries between the 20s, but I do think that really dings what we thought would be just a massive workload. I thought it was going to be like McCaffrey gets every touch he can handle in this offense.
See, I mean, why would they make the trade if that wasn't the case? But
maybe they're saving him for maybe December and January. It's hard to say.
Well, we host a show called Galaxy Brains. Maybe we should talk about it.
You have to look into it.
By the way, if you're not in to the brain expansion, please check it out on the NFL and NBC YouTube page, where Denny and we go deep inside the psyche every single week, deep inside, all the way down. Denny, you've informed me, but so you won't say Tutter or Tutty, but you'll say mid. You'll say mid. You described Wan'Dale Robinson as mid to me. What's going on in the Giants?
I've been told that I might be overusing mid a little. I really like it right now. I really enjoy saying mid.
Never say that again in my presence.
Well, fine. Stop saying Tutter. And stop saying Conk Daddy for Tyler Conklin.
Oh man, we gotta get him back on the show.
They're
off by this week. The Conk Daddy's back.
Yeah,
folks.
well, he's in my waiver column. So
oh my gosh.
Shout out to Conk Daddy. What were we talking about?
The Giants receivers, Wan'Dale struggling, okay. Darius Slayton
there we go.
Scoring a tutter.
All right. Yes. So I'm embarrassed that last week I did not just come out and say in my waiver column that Slayton is the clear cut number 1 wide receiver for the Giants. Since week 5, Slayton has 35% of the team's targets, 47% of the team's receiving yards, and his 2.15 yards per route run is way higher than everybody else's in that offense. Now the issue with Slayton and everybody in this Giants offense is that the Giants are super run heavy, and they actually don't even pass when they're playing from behind. Usually, sixth lowest pass rate over expected. Daniel Jones averages 24 pass attempts and wins in the 7 wins this season for the Giants. Wow. So yeah, I mean, like Slayton could go ahead and see a 25% target share, and that's going to come out to 5-6 targets in wins in like when they want to play when they're able to play the way they want to play, I should say. So we have to keep that in mind. But you're starting Slayton over like, Wan'Dale. I mean, like Wan'Dale Robinson is all of his routes are run right around the line of scrimmage.
I thought that would be good in this offense.
Basically, but they don't pass. And so basically he would have to like break a long screen pass to prove viable. That he's getting nothing downfield. But of course, that was never going to be his role in the first place. A little guy like that, diminutive, I think is the term that we should use. So yeah, I mean, Slayton is the only fantasy viable Giants receiver in 12-team leagues right now.
Man, that's a real bummer, but it strikes me as correct. It's kind of an undeniable fact, really, at this point. Real quick, Denny, you have anything to say about Donovan Peoples-Jones? Because 4 straight games over 70 yards.
Yeah.
Outproduced Amari Cooper 2 of the past 4 weeks. 70 yards 5 of the past 6 weeks. 99 yards yesterday. The problem is 2 more games till Deshaun Watson comes back, so he's kind of resetting his chemistry. Kind of downfield passers had success with Deshaun Watson in the past, though.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on Donovan, on the Peoples?
Yeah, another volatile profile. He sees a lot of downfield targets. So this week against the Dolphins, week 10, his yards per reception was 19.8. The week before it was 20.2. 2 weeks before that it was 18.6. So we understand what we're getting with Donovan Peoples-Jones, and that's just Jacoby Brissett and then maybe Deshaun Watson at some point chucking it downfield to him. And again, in a Cleveland offense that doesn't really want to throw the ball, I'm a little skeptical of Peoples-Jones's viability as like a plug and play 12-team league wide receiver. But you could do worse at flex, and he certainly has upside because he does see those downfield shots.
Then he's not a man of the Peoples.
I'm skeptical of the Peoples and what they want.
Denny, I know it's getting cold, but you got any tee times scheduled right now, Denny?
No, I'm only chipping golf balls in my backyard. That's the only golf I'm playing.
That might be an even more yuppie activity than actually going to the golf course.
I would appreciate if no one told my wife about the divots that I'm taking in the backyard, because man, they are looking pretty bad at this point. I'm hoping that I'll have to stop at some point in the winter and they'll be able to grow back. Maybe
grass is famous for growing during the winter, so. Yeah, maybe a mole will just come along. You can blame the mole.
I mean, the mole could actually just come out of the divot at some point. It's so deep.
It's true. Very good point. Speaking of so deep, all the way down, Denny, who's the kicker of the week this week?
Yeah. Well, we had Robbie Gould last week, and he came through 3 field goals against the down bad Chargers. I have Gould mentioned in the column, but I will go with Nick Folk. He is available in 65% of leagues. The Patriots are 3.5-point favorites over the fraudulent New York Jets this week.
Man, come on, man.
I'm just saying, Folk is averaging 3.5 field goal attempts per game, and New England wins. So if you think that the Patriots can win or at least keep things even with the Jets, I do. I personally think they can. Folk should have another multiple attempt game.
So there you go. He's not a man of the Peoples, but he's a man of the folks.
I am.
So, you should choose the folks over the Peoples, actually.
I love saying folks unironically.
I do. I think, yeah, we've really gone down a folks rabbit hole, have we not? Where it might be our most said word between the two of us.
I start my Tuesday waiver wire stream on the NBC NFL and NBC YouTube channel, which you can find tomorrow, with just yelling the word folks. Folks.
And by the way, great, you said tomorrow, so you revealed what day it is.
Yesterday is what I meant. I don't know. Today.
You think they're not docking your paycheck? They are. If you reveal what day the podcast is recorded, it's a bad thing. It's very bad for this company.
I'm tilting.
A mystery must remain.
The people like a mystery.
Yeah, they do. But no, thank you so much for listening to this waivers and news episode of the Rotoworld Football Show. We got more shows coming up all week. We got more content coming up all week. We got more news bumping all week. We're only 1 week away from Thanksgiving, where we get 3 games on our beloved Turkey Day.
Yep.
But check out Denny's waiver column. Check out. Sorry, you laugh when I call it your funnels column.
The funnel thing comes out.
Funnel thing.
It's funneling fantasy points comes out Friday morning.
Check that out. The rankings will be up later. They'll be on the site tomorrow on Tuesday. The article out Thursday. I'll be back podcasting with Kyle Dvorak and Lawrence Jackson. I'll be back with Mr. Denny later in the week to preview the entire Week 11 slate. For Denny Carter, I'm Patrick Daugherty. We'll catch you later.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.